Hello, lovely people, and thank you for tuning into my channel today. Welcome back to my vlog. This one is number 95 and it's called Out of This World. I might be sounding a little bit croaky because for the past week I've been laid up with COVID, and I'm recording this today from a beautiful little spot south of Perth where I've been hidden away. And that was one of the upsides, I guess, of being sick, is that I was able to really just enjoy the view and not do much else really, while my body recovered. I'm still a bit under the weather, but I feel like I've turned the corner today and I'm beginning to feel more human. So onwards and upwards. It has taken a lot out of me. But isn't that it's crazy, because this time last week I was actually on a huge high because we'd had the most incredible weekend, which I'm going to tell you all about. But isn't that just how life is, eh? The highs and the lows, and you got to roll with the punches. And who can live without them, I ask, in all honesty. What mosh pit? When we managed to secure tickets earlier this year to the highly anticipated Coldplay concert, I couldn't believe my luck. The concert was organised by our Premier as a way to stimulate the local tourism economy. And it was a one-off, and there were 67,000 tickets up for grabs, and it was basically, the race was on. So once the tickets went on sale, my husband and I, himself as I call him, we were in the house. He was on one computer and I was on the other, and we were in the race basically to see if we could get those tickets. And the booking system took a powerful hammering, and within 10 minutes of opening, all the tickets were sold. And I wasn't lucky enough on my computer, but hey, himself was lucky, and he managed to get tickets for all of us to go and have a fantastic time. Now, that was way back in the beginning of the year, and it went into the furthest recesses of my mind as life took hold, and I completely forgot about the concert. And it was only a couple of weeks ago that my daughter asked me how I felt about going into the mosh pit. And I looked at her stupidly and I said, "What mosh pit?" She said she was a bit worried about me, that I might not enjoy being with 15,000 other people in the mosh pit, many of whom would be drinking and are under the influence of drugs and acting accordingly. And then, of course, I realized, oh, she's talking about the Coldplay concert, of course. And then she shared with me her concerns that she had visions of me being squashed, definitely having my feet trampled on, and no doubt struggling, all 5 feet 2 inches of me, to see above the heads, to even glimpse the superband in action. I did take on board her concerns, but I felt really loved and cared for, that she even gave it some thought. But I did have this uncomfortable feeling wash over me, and I thought, oh. And then I thought, I can. When was the last time I was even in a mosh pit? And I thought about, oh yeah, now I can just vaguely remember it was the Eagles in Dublin sometime in the 90s, and I was heavily dosed up on alcohol and weed back then, so I would have been well numbed to the potential threats that come with being in the middle of such a massive crowd. The gift of awareness. So I am indebted to my daughter for sharing her concerns that day. She has become a regular concert goer in recent years, and being in the mosh pit is second nature to her by now. But isn't it just brilliant, though, that even though she's got no concerns herself about being in the mosh pit, she's able to imagine how challenging that it might be for someone like me, an old fart, to actually be in the mosh pit. And I realize now that in expressing what she did that day, she gave me the gift of awareness. She gave me the opportunity to contemplate how I might feel in those circumstances and what I might be able to do about it. Without that contemplation, I'm not sure I would have been able to enjoy myself as much as I did. While I'm all for living in the now, being grounded in the present moment, I am also a strong proponent of being well prepared. If we spend a little bit of time anticipating the challenges that we might face in life, we can build up our mental, physical, and spiritual strengths to help us get through it. There's no point in worrying about the future, but there is plenty point in being prepared for it. There is a difference. And there is much comfort and peace to be had in the present moment when we know that we have done our very best to protect ourselves against the things that are within our control, and then beyond that, to trust that everything will be okay. Everything was more than okay. As it happened, the whole event from start to finish was like a dream. I couldn't have imagined that it would go as well as it did. Having gone into the mosh pit with my eyes wide open, a heart full of hope and a head full of acceptance about what would be, I was overwhelmingly surprised. Himself and I danced for 6 hours non-stop. The support bands were brilliant in their own right, but halfway through the third act, I was ready for Chris Martin and his crew to appear on stage. And there the stage was, just ahead of me. I was so excited because I could actually see the performers on the stage. I was beside myself at the thought that I was going to be so close to the man who has sang most of the best songs that make up the soundtrack of my life over the past 20 years. Basically, the soundtrack of my marriage. I remember way back training for my first marathon with himself. It was 2003 and we weren't even married then. We were sharing headphones as we ran side by side, with Coldplay providing the rhythms from my MP3 player. Years later, we had their songs blasting during long car rides with the kids, so that by the end of the trip, the kids knew all the words off by heart. When my daughter started piano lessons at the age of 7, the first song she asked her tutor to teach her, was Clocks. Matilda learned to play it and sing it, and she even entered a talent show at school. So you can see this band has been an integral part of our family and our music life. What I also loved about this concert was the general crowd that it attracted. While there was drinking going on and I could certainly smell weed in a few places, the patrons were generally very civilized and kind to one another. I was glad that I wasn't drinking or smoking weed. There are two main reasons for that. One, I didn't have a full bladder, and not once did I have to push against 15,000 people to go find a toilet, and then push my way back in the hope of finding my family in the crowd again. Two, I remember every single moment of the event, and they were all very happy moments. So you can see the photos on my website if you want to actually visit my blog, The Written Word. Higher Power. The band opened with their song Higher Power as the lights on our snazzy complimentary wristbands lit up in sync with the music. The crowd went insane. I looked around and I could see all the lights around the stadium of 67,000 people. It was magical. Huge, colourful beach balls were released into the mosh pit and people bounced them in the air to and from each other. Everybody felt the love and sang with all their might as the meaning of the lyrics went deep into their hearts, as though finding joy again after being in a dark place. It just confirmed how connected we all are through our shared suffering and our shared joy. At one point, Chris Martin spoke to us to acknowledge the love that he felt in the 67,000 strong crowd. He said that despite the awful things that happen in the world every day, in this space where we were gathered, 67,000 people were joined together in joy and love. It was truly magical. I loved that I got to experience this with my kids too, because they told me afterwards that it was the best night of their lives so far. Everyone is an alien somewhere. People were wearing Coldplay t-shirts they'd obviously bought from the merch tents on the way in, which had the words "Everyone is an alien somewhere" emblazoned across the front. Coldplay's tour is called Music of the Spheres, and it's illustrated by the many balls that were at the show and in the photos that you'll see on my website. And the many videos that I took, I keep looking at them over and over again and looking at those beautiful balls falling around the stadium, all the beautiful colours. But what Coldplay want us to focus on is on the outer world, and making us realize that we are so small in the grand scheme of things. And it aims to explore the human experience, and encourages us to look at what unites us, not what separates us. And I've been saying this for years, that it will take aliens to finally reveal themselves to us for humanity to pull together as one. If indeed there is such a thing as alien life. We just don't know, do we? I prefer to remain open-minded about that and live in a state of wonder and awe at the incredible universe that we are such a tiny part of. So there you have it. That's my blog for this week. I wish you all the best, and I hope that you too can live in a state of awe and wonder and feel joy whenever you possibly can. Until next time, take good care of yourself. Love from me.